What is going on, guys? Blu-ray Godfather here, and today we're going to be ranking Star Wars. So I'm going to kick off my list with number 11 being my least favorite, and I'm going to work my way up. So it's going to come to no surprise that my least favorite, or in this case, number 11, is going to be The Phantom Menace. So honestly, what can I say that hasn't already been said about the prequels? The prequels actually have been getting much more love in recent years than in the past, but people still like to bash on these movies. And in my opinion, there's still 1 and 2 are still the least quality in regards to the entire series, in my opinion. There's a lot to like from The Phantom Menace. I think that, Darth Maul obviously is a great villain, might be one of the best villains in the entire series. Doesn't say a whole lot, which is probably why, he sticks out from this movie, because the dialogue, George Lucas's dialogue, I mean, again, what can I say that hasn't already been said? There is one big thing that sticks out on this movie that I just cannot stand, and I genuinely probably hate it, to be quite honest with you, and that is Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks, I have been on record as saying that Jar Jar Binks is the worst movie character of all time. I do not like Jar Jar Binks. Every time he's on the screen, he annoys the absolute crap out of me, and I cannot stand that guy. Honestly, I can't stand him so much that is the sole reason that this movie is at the bottom of my list. Like I said, there are other cool things about the movie, but Jar Jar Binks being in this movie, nope, not for me. So moving on quickly to number 2, or number 10, it's going to be Attack of the Clones. So fun fact, this was actually the very first movie to get me into Star Wars, the very first movie I watched. I was a little kid when this movie came out, and it was the very first one that I got the chance to watch. I didn't watch Phantom Menace. I didn't see any of the original trilogy, so this was my introduction to Star Wars. And because of that, this movie actually has a soft spot in my heart. But I must admit, with an objective lens, it is, quite possibly the worst movie in the series because of Jar Jar Binks. It's not, in my opinion. That would be Phantom Menace. Now, he is in this movie, but thank goodness he's not in that movie so much. Again, there's a lot of cool things that I enjoy about this movie. I really enjoy Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's my favorite Star Wars character. I really enjoy the giant Colosseum battle. That is incredible. But, I mean, I don't like sand. Coming in at number 9 is going to be The Rise of Skywalker. This movie, well, I get why people can like this movie, and personally, I don't necessarily hate it. I just thought it was a ginormous step backwards. I think that, whenever they released The Force Awakens and then The Last Jedi, that they were able to, whenever they released The Force Awakens, people were saying, okay, well, it's kind of a ripoff or just kind of a reboot of A New Hope. And then The Last Jedi came out, and then that was a completely new take, I think. They were, shying away from all the previous stuff that they have had in the entire Skywalker saga, and I thought that, okay, they're going to go into a new direction, which is good, which is what I thought, in my opinion, it should have done, but it just did not do that. In fact, it just relied more heavily on nostalgia, which nostalgia could be good. Nostalgia just, in this case, took me out of the movie, because I was expecting this big, I don't know what I was expecting, to be completely honest, and maybe I was expecting too much, but the fact that they just kind of went back to the well with bringing back Palpatine and all these like ginormous Palpatine clones and these like 70,000 Death Stars, it just didn't work for me. I was really pissed off when I first watched it. I was like, come on. I guess pissed off shouldn't be the right word, but I was just like, I really wanted this new, fresh, tale, and it just kind of seemed like they relied too much on stuff that we had seen before, and that they just couldn't come up with new things. And it really let me down, to be quite honest with you. So next one on the list, number 8, is going to be Solo, a Star Wars story. Honestly, I don't have a whole lot to say about this movie. I thought that it was pretty okay. I don't remember hating this movie. I don't remember, quite frankly, even just like loving this movie. I thought there were some cool action sequences. Donald Glover was a standout, in my opinion. Obviously, I think that anybody could say that, but I don't know. It's a fine movie. It's average, in my opinion. I think that from this point forward, I like all of these movies a lot. I think that from this part of the list on, they're kind of in their own little category in terms of quality, in my opinion. And the first 4 that I mentioned are just kind of lower tier, but the rest of these are upper echelon, in my opinion, and I really enjoy these. So coming in at number 7 is going to be Return of the Jedi. So Return of the Jedi for me is the worst of the 3 original movies of the original trilogy. Now, that doesn't mean that it's bad. This movie also gave us the redemption arc, really, of Darth Vader. Darth Vader redeems himself at the end with Luke, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful moment. So this movie definitely has its merits as well. The number 6 spot is going to go to Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Now, as I mentioned a bit earlier, The Last Jedi for me started to go in a different direction. Started to move the story that we had seen previously, into newer pastures, in my opinion. There was a lot of things that characters were doing sort of uncharacteristically. Luke, this was really a Luke movie, and Luke was, when this movie first came out, people bashed it, and people still kind of bash this movie, and I think it's because it is so different. It is a different, story from what we're used to with the Skywalker saga. And honestly, when I first watched the movie, I was sort of on that hate bandwagon where I was like, nope, not for me. I want my Star Wars, and I want you to give me my Star Wars back. But I watched this movie more, and I watched it more. And after 5 or 6 times watching it, and I genuinely watched it because I over and over again, is because the first time coming out of the theater, I was sort of I didn't necessarily hate the movie, but I didn't necessarily know what to think of it. I didn't know if I liked it or not. So the second time I watched it, it kind of was like, okay, well, I'm starting to dig it. So then I kept watching it, and then it eventually, became one of my favorite Star Wars movies. And I think that because it is a bit different than what we've seen previously in other movies up to this point, I think that kind of gives it a boost in my rankings. Number 5 is going to go to The Force Awakens. I remember being at the front of the line, waiting to get in to see this movie. I was so excited. This was heavily anticipated, and I don't think I was the only one, because this movie, when it first came out, just did gangbusters at the box office, and everybody wanted to see this movie. It was the first time we had seen Star Wars in a very long time. It was a brand new story, and then it ended up being a New Hope reboot, essentially, with these new characters. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I think that this movie for a long time was my favorite of the newer trilogy, because when I first watched it, it really honestly blew me away, and I can't say enough about this movie. I do think that I do think that it's a bit underrated, to be completely honest with you. Number 4, we got Revenge of the Sith. So Revenge of the Sith, very high up on my list, but honestly, this movie right here, I can rewatch over and over and over and over again. Again, the prequel trilogy was the first trilogy that I was introduced to. I did not watch any of the original trilogy until I think after I had seen the prequel trilogy. And I remember when Revenge of the Sith came out, I was obsessed with this movie. This movie, in my opinion, is awesome. It is by far the very best of the prequel trilogy, and I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. In fact, I think that's a pretty basic opinion, but I just have to reiterate it here because this movie is awesome, still holds up much better than all the, Jar Jar Binks, Phantom Menace, and I Don't Like Sand, Anakin Skywalker, Attack of the Clones stuff, but this movie's awesome. The battle scene with Anakin and Obi-Wan, it's just chef's kiss, really. Now we have number 3, Rogue One. Now Star Wars Rogue One, or Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, I should say. I think I enjoy this movie so much because even though it does tie in with the whole, Death Star plans and whatnot towards the end of the movie. So coming in at number 2 is A New Hope. Now, New Hope simply gets this high on the list because, well, it's the movie that started it all. It's the movie that introduced us to all these iconic characters that we know and love now: Princess Leia, Luke, Han Solo, Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi. We get all of that for the very first time in The New Hope, and simply because of that, I think that it deserves a spot this high on the list. And quite frankly, I go between this and the one on the top spot as far as which one is my favorite. But I do think that you know what number one's going to be, and I think that that movie just edges this one out a little bit. But because of its importance in showing us those characters for the first time, this is just a pop culture icon. This movie right here, and we really wouldn't have what we have now without A New Hope. So that gets my number 2 spot. And number 1, as you probably could have guessed, is The Empire Strikes Back. So The Empire Strikes Back not only is the best Star Wars movie, in my opinion, but it is also one of the best movies, period, of all time. Talk about a pop culture icon. This movie gave us some of the most iconic movie scenes in history. This movie is timeless. I will watch this movie in particular over and over. It's one of the Star Wars movies that I've seen the most, and it does get my number 1 spot. Very predictably, sure, but it's well worth. So that's it, guys. Thank you for checking out my Star Wars ranking. Please comment down below what your favorite Star Wars movie is. Please comment down below what you thought about the list. Please comment down below what your ranking of the Star Wars movies are. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much.